Hey everyone, it's Jeremy Boren with GrayMatter. It's the latest edition of the emPOWERUP podcast. We're excited to have you here today. And this week, we're focusing on cybersecurity. It's been in the news a lot, and we're going to be talking with my colleague Scott Christensen, GrayMatter's cybersecurity lead. And we're going to be talking a little bit about Baltimore, which recently fell victim to a ransomware attack. But not just Baltimore, there's been a bunch of cities. In fact, we're estimating 20 or 21 just this year alone that have had to face the consequences of a ransomware attack. So we're going to dig into that with Scott next. And after that, we're going to get you some details about Transform 2019, our upcoming user conference in Put-in-Bay, Ohio at the end of July. So be looking for some more details about that and how to sign up. And just a quick programming note, Scott is super busy, so we caught him via Skype, and the audio quality is a little bit different. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to start off by kind of asking you about how you got into the world of cybersecurity and with GrayMatter. I know every boy grows up thinking that they'll be the master of the cybersecurity universe, so I'm sure that's your case. But could you just talk a little bit about how you got into this and how you got with GrayMatter?
Yeah, it's interestingly enough, it's kind of I fell into it in a lot of ways. I was always the kid that liked to break stuff, so figuring out how to get into things, how to break into it, and that it kind of became a hobby of mine. And as I was working, in the technology field, I started noticing, there's an opening, and specifically in industrial world, for looking at cybersecurity incidents and how root cause, and looking for how you can get into systems. And living in Houston kind of made it pretty easy to kind of get into industrial space, specifically oil and gas. And then I got real excited about researching and finding out how things break. And just after 15, 20 years, became my career. Then when I had the opportunity about a year and a half ago to come on board with the GrayMatter and actually build something, it was a very exciting moment for me. So I decided to come on board, and we actually kind of help our customers solve that cyber problem.
For sure. Did you start off as a technical person, as somebody who wanted to go into a technical field, or is it kind of evolved after college?
It very much evolved after college. I got a degree in marketing, believe it or not, and I was always leaning towards the tech side. I always call myself a geek. I always speak geek. And I'm the kind of guy that has a couple different pieces of computers and gadgets in my office, and I always was exploring that as a hobby. And then over time, it kind of developed into a career for me. And like I said, 20 years later, all of a sudden I found myself this is what I do day to day, and I'm kind of lucky in that way. It's always was something I had a passion for.
So tell me, when you were getting into it, and even now, are there places online, newsletters, sites that you like to read up to just stay up to date on what's going on in the world of cybersecurity? Some favorites that others might look to as well?
Yeah, there's a couple of the first I'm a big fan of the FBI's ISSA program and their ISAC stuff. They share a lot of detailed information on past investigation and incidents and things that that have happened, as well as kind of forward-thinking alerts of be aware these are the things we're seeing. So that's the first thing, is really reaching out and looking at some of the stuff that the FBI puts out there, and Department of Homeland Security as well with their ICS cert stuff. It's very interesting to hear what is being found from that perspective. And then there's quite a few different tech hubs that are pretty good that I really enjoy. CNET's got a pretty good one, and Wired's got a few good ones, and Gizmodo. All of them have a kind of a section dedicated to hackers and cyber incidents.
Very cool. So when you're not reading up on cybersecurity, what do you like to do in Houston?
I'm a baseball guy, so
Yeah.
I'm a go Astros.
Yeah.
So if I got free time, most of it's watching Astros play or watching sports. In general, that's pretty much my only hobby, other than one kid now and one on the way.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So when you were in Pittsburgh, have you had a chance to see PNC Park? Have you seen the Pirates play?
I have not yet seen the Pirates play. I've stayed next to it. It's a beautiful park, and I'm very anxious to see, but it's not aligned me yet to go see it. I'm hoping to take a customer out in the near future.
You've got to check it out. It's really beautiful. I don't know if we're playing the Astros anytime soon, but that would be the ultimate, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. If the stars align, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I think I can make this segue work actually. So speaking of beautiful ballparks, Camden Yards, Baltimore. Baltimore is up against a ransomware attack right now
Hmm.
that is making a ton of headlines. And some of these seem to get a lot of attention, and other ones seem to fly under the radar. And I guess it just sort of depends on the nature of the attack and how the particular municipality decides to handle it. But in Baltimore's case, they've had they've had a ransomware attack about 2 weeks ago. It's slowed down a ton of city services down to real estate transactions grounding to a halt, and so it's pretty hard to keep that quiet, I guess. And they seem to be really in the middle of it right now. And so I guess the first question I wanted to ask you is, what is it about cities that ends up making them a target for ransomware attacks? Because I've been doing some reading up on it, and it looks like there's maybe 22 dozen that have been identified just this year. So what is it about municipalities like Baltimore that seems to either make them stick out or make them more vulnerable?
There's a kind of a multiple reasons, and if you really look back, it's I was kind of doing some research on this, just really wanting to learn more about the history of ransomware. And if you really look back, starting around 2013, they kind of identified the first city, which was a city out of Massachusetts, was attacked by the crypto locker ransomware. And it's what we've seen since then is there's been about 170 incidents since then. And what we've seen is they take advantage of the fact that cities rely heavily on legacy operating systems and legacy applications and tend to not be very good at putting controls or putting patches on. So it gives a very easy entry into the systems. And secondly, the whole value from a ransomware standpoint is the more data I can encrypt, the more I can ask for when I want to decrypt it. So cities tend to have tons of data sitting on these servers. So being able to get on them and encrypt them and then ask for Bitcoin makes them a very high value target.